Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know, firstly, Google Docs reveal a strategy to hook students for life with Chromebooks, aiming for lifetime brand, loyalty, and data. So we'll discuss why this pipeline of future users strategy is central to a massive child safety lawsuit and what it means for data privacy. Second, Nvidia is disrupting the PC duopoly, launching ARM-based Windows laptops with superchip tech that could deliver a petaflop of AI performance. We'll explore how this move could transform the PC landscape and what it signals for on-device AI and the future of Windows computing. Third, a 1.5 gigawatt AI data center is planned for Greenland by former Trump officials, creating a new front in the US-China tech race. We'll analyze why this high-stakes Arctic gamble is a turning point and how it could affect global AI infrastructure and geopolitical dynamics. Fourth, Tesla kills Autopilot, pivoting to a $99 per month subscription for FSD supervised after facing a sales ban threat from California regulators. Today we'll take a closer look at this SaaSification of cars and its implications for the used car market and vehicle ownership. Fifth, Elon Musk calls Ryanair's CEO an utter idiot in a feud over Starlink, exposing a clash between budget and premium airline tech strategies. In this episode, we'll break down this high-stakes standoff and what it signals for the future of in-flight connectivity and airline business models. Let's start with a single line from an internal Google document that reveals their entire strategy for schools. The goal is explicit brand trust and loyalty over their lifetime. This bombshell revelation comes from a 2020 Google presentation unearthed as part of a massive child safety lawsuit. The presentation is titled Onboarding Kids. For over a decade, Google has invested in making Chromebooks a classroom staple. Now, internal documents are suggesting exactly why. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. This was never just about selling a few laptops. It's a battle for the entire education market. Google's strategy was brilliant in its simplicity: offer schools cheap, easy to manage cloud-based Chromebooks. This was a completely different path from Apple's approach of selling premium, expensive iPads and MacBooks, or Microsoft's focus on its Office software, and it worked. Chromebooks now make up around 55% of the US K through 12 market. They won the hardware battle by making their devices almost irresistibly affordable for budget-strapped schools. But that low-cost strategy has a hidden side. While the upfront price is low, schools are now facing what some call Chromebook churn. These devices often have a short lifespan of only about 4 years, leading to a constant cycle of replacement. This creates a massive amount of electronic waste and a higher total cost over time. One report estimated that simply doubling the lifespan of these Chromebooks could save US schools a staggering $1.8 billion. So the low price tag has a hidden environmental and financial cost. One slide includes a study on how laptop brands used in schools have an influence on purchase patterns. In the same document, Google highlights and bolds a quote from a New York Times article, a quote that says, "Tech companies are in a battle to hook students as future customers." They even repeat another quote multiple times: "If you get someone on your operating system early, then you get that loyalty early and potentially for life." And it's not just about laptops. The documents also suggest that pushing YouTube into schools could create a pipeline of future users. Now, get this. That pipeline isn't just about what kids watch. It's also about the data they generate. Of course, Google is very clear that under child privacy laws, they don't use student data from their education accounts for advertising purposes. Schools own that data, but that protection often ends when a student turns 18 and their school account can be converted into a regular personal Google account. All that history, all that data collected from kindergarten through high school could then potentially be used to inform Google's powerful AI and advertising models. It's a long-term data goldmine. Here's the core conflict. While one part of Google was planning to get YouTube into schools, another part was acknowledging its dark side. Other internal presentations admit that many users regret time lost when they unintentionally go down the rabbit hole and that the platform distracted people from work or even sleep. A Google spokesperson says these documents mischaracterize their work and that schools maintain full control. But these revelations are not happening in a vacuum. They are key evidence in a massive lawsuit filed by school districts and state attorneys general accusing Google, Meta, ByteDance, and Snap of creating addictive and dangerous products that have harmed the mental health of young users. From Google's long game to dominate the education market, let's shift to another company aiming to upend a different duopoly. For years, the laptop market has been a two-horse race between Intel and AMD. That's about to end. Nvidia, the king of graphics cards, is crashing the party. And this isn't a quiet entry. They're pulling a page directly from Apple's playbook. Just like Apple created its own M-series chips to control its entire ecosystem, Nvidia is aiming to become a platform owner, not just a component supplier. The goal is to create an Nvidia inside ecosystem that directly rivals Intel, giving them control over both hardware and software integration. It's a massive strategic pivot. Leaks have revealed Nvidia is preparing to launch as many as 8 new Windows laptops, not with an Intel or AMD chip inside, but with its own ARM-based processors, codenamed N1 and N1X. This isn't just one rogue manufacturer either. We're talking about the world's biggest laptop maker, Lenovo, which has at least 6 different models in the works, from the IdeaPad Slim 5 to the Yoga Pro 7. Crucially, the leaks point to a Legion gaming machine, showing Nvidia is targeting the high-performance market from day one. Dell is also reportedly prepping an Alienware gaming laptop with the new chip. Now, you might be wondering, how can you run high-end PC games on an ARM chip? That has always been the Achilles heel, since most PC games are built for x86 chips from Intel and AMD. Interestingly enough, Nvidia seems to be tackling this with a 3-pronged attack. First, by relying on Microsoft's improved Prism emulator to run older games. Second, by pushing developers to create native ARM versions of new games. And third, by using their own GeForce Now cloud gaming service as a bridge, letting you stream games that can't run natively. It's a clever way to solve the biggest hurdle to gaming on ARM. What really brought this to a head, though, was a leak about the power these new processors might be packing. One report, which must be taken with a grain of salt, suggests the high-end N1X variant could have as many graphics cores as a desktop RTX 5070 graphics card and a staggering 20 CPU cores. This isn't just a chip for browsing the web. This is a direct shot at the heart of high-performance computing. This move has been a long time coming. Nvidia has experience with ARM chips from powering every Nintendo Switch, but this is a full-scale invasion of the Windows PC landscape, building collaboration with MediaTek, with Nvidia's own CEO all but confirming the new laptop chip is a version of their superchip technology. The industry is on high alert. The superchip name is so important because this isn't just about faster gaming. It's about putting a version of what they call a personal AI supercomputer into a consumer laptop. The research suggests this chip could deliver up to a petaflop of AI performance, enabling complex tasks like training AI models and advanced content generation right on your device, things that currently require the cloud. The era of the Intel and AMD duopoly is officially being challenged. While Qualcomm is already in the market, Nvidia's entry, especially with a focus on gaming, signals a massive power shift. The PC processor war just got a powerful new player, and the entire landscape is about to be redrawn. What this means for you, the consumer, is that the Windows world is fragmenting. Unlike Apple's smooth, unified switch to its own silicon, the PC market is becoming a 3-front war between Qualcomm, Nvidia, and the classic Intel-AMD duo. This could lead to incredible innovation, but also potential headaches with software compatibility as Microsoft tries to manage this new, more complex ecosystem. We were just talking about putting personal AI supercomputers into laptops, but the hunger for that kind of power on a global scale is reaching a whole new level. And it's taking us to one of the most remote places on Earth. A former official from Donald Trump's first administration is planning a data center so massive it could change the global map of AI power. The goal is a 1.5 gigawatt facility in a remote corner of Greenland by 2028, a capacity several times larger than any active data center in the world today. This multi-billion-dollar venture is being spearheaded by Drew Horn, a former senior aide to Mike Pence, through a company called GreenMet. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. Other former senior Trump employees, including a past executive from the Trump Organization and a former director of Oval Office operations, are also shareholders in the company. A while back, we talked about how statecraft, big tech, and national security were increasingly entangled. This is that convergence playing out in the Arctic, only this time it's framed as private enterprise. Now, what many might overlook is that while the project is framed as purely private, the involvement of these figures blurs the line between private business and state-level strategy. After all, the Arctic is a new frontier in the global competition for AI dominance, particularly between the US and China. Why Greenland? The island holds an estimated 1.5 million tons of rare earth minerals, which are absolutely essential for making the high-tech components that power AI. Control over these resources and the infrastructure in the region is seen as a major strategic advantage. We previously analysed the push to control Greenland's resources, including talk in Washington about buying the territory, and noted that China dominates rare earth processing. So even as this project plants a digital flag, it's not a mining play. It's about placing critical compute and energy at the resource frontier. The project is a direct response to the AI gold rush, with giants like Meta, Microsoft, and Google desperately building out infrastructure. This Greenland plan has already secured binding financial commitments for its development. But there's a massive catch. A few months back, we saw how mere headlines about Greenland could send mining stocks surging. Today's twist is different. Milestone, tied money for a physical build, which sounds sturdier but still lives in speculative territory. These financial commitments are likely structured as milestone-based financing, and that detail is critical. It means investors release funds only after the project hits specific targets, like securing permits. It's a way to manage risk in a venture this speculative, but it also highlights the potential for a new AI bubble, where huge bets are placed on projects with extreme geopolitical and environmental risks. Continuing our last discussion about hype versus reality in Greenland. Remember, experts warned the region's rare earths wouldn't materially move markets anytime soon. That long timeline risk applies here too. Despite the money lining up, the project has not yet secured land or approvals from local authorities in Greenland. The CEO, Drew Horn, stated the issue is not so much on the private side, it's on the diplomatic, pointing to geopolitical tensions surrounding the semi-autonomous Danish territory. And as we noted a while back, Greenlandic leaders have forcefully pushed back on outside control, and public outcry has already blocked major industrial projects before, so permitting and community consent may be the steepest climb of all. The physical challenges are just as staggering. One strategist warns that in the Arctic, the heat from the servers can melt the very ground the building sits on, requiring highly specialised engineering. This creates a fascinating technological race. The entire premise relies on the Arctic's free cooling to save on massive energy bills. But at the same time, companies like Nvidia are developing next-generation chips that are vastly more energy efficient and produce less heat. The question is, can they build this incredibly complex Arctic facility before new chip technology makes the whole free cooling advantage obsolete? To power the first phase, the plan is to use specialized barges carrying liquefied natural gas. For the full 1.5 gigawatt expansion, they plan to build an enormous hydroelectric facility. Both of these power solutions are still awaiting government approval. And here we see a paradox. The company is called GreenMet, and the long-term goal is green hydropower. But starting with fossil fuel, LNG barges undermines that image. Furthermore, building massive dams in the fragile Arctic can cause its own environmental damage, disrupting ecosystems and even releasing greenhouse gases from submerged vegetation. We previously called this out as the core dilemma of Arctic development. Even when the end game is green, the path there can look a lot like old-school extraction. This high-stakes gamble pits the immense demand for AI infrastructure and powerful political connections against the harsh realities of Arctic engineering and delicate international diplomacy. But the biggest question might be for the 56,000 citizens of Greenland. A project this size could be a massive economic boost, potentially generating hundreds of millions in tax revenue to fund public services, similar to what's happened in places like Loudoun County, Virginia. But it also carries the risk of becoming a digital colony, where a foreign company exploits the land and power with very little long-term benefit for the local people, all while putting a massive strain on their resources. As we highlighted before, Greenlandic leaders have been clear, we do not want to be Americans, we want to be Greenlanders. Today's development doesn't change that sentiment, it tests it in the language of servers, substations, and sovereign consent. From one massive infrastructure gamble in the Arctic, let's pivot to a different kind of high-risk bet from another tech giant. Tesla just killed Autopilot. The company has officially discontinued its famous driver assistance system in the US and Canada. The feature that was a core selling point for years is gone from new cars, In its place, Tesla is pushing customers toward its more advanced software, branded as full self-driving supervised. But there's a massive catch. You can no longer buy it outright for $8,000. It is now exclusively a subscription priced at $99 a month. So the thing is, this is part of a much bigger trend called the SaaSification of the auto industry, where cars are becoming like software you subscribe to. We've seen other companies do this, like BMW experimenting with subscriptions for heated seats. But what Tesla is doing is a massive escalation. They aren't just renting you a comfort feature. They are making a fundamental driving capability, a monthly service. This move challenges the very idea of what it means to own a car if core functions have to be rented. If that was just the appetizer, the main course is just being served. A report from the company's own CFO revealed a staggering statistic. Only 12% of all Tesla customers had previously paid for the full self-driving software. The company is now betting its future on converting the other 88% into monthly subscribers. This decision also completely changes the used car market for Teslas. Previously, buying the full self-driving package was an investment that stayed with the car and boosted its resale value. Now, because it's a non-transferable subscription tied to the owner, that value vanishes when the car is sold. This could create a new class of feature-poor used Teslas, potentially hurting owner equity and the brand's long-term value. But that's not the whole picture. The real turning point is that this move comes as Tesla was facing a high-stakes 60-day deadline from California's Department of Motor Vehicles. Regulators argued the name Autopilot misled consumers into believing the system was fully autonomous and threatened a 30-day suspension of its retail sales license if the marketing wasn't changed. Actually, this wasn't just a suggestion, it was a formal ruling. In December 2025, the California DMV adopted an administrative law judge's decision that Tesla's marketing violated state law. The company was put on the clock to fix the misleading language or face a real suspension of its ability to sell cars in the state. So this pivot isn't just a business decision, it's also a clever maneuver to sidestep a massive regulatory battle by simply eliminating the contested product name. Now, the feature that helped define the brand is gone. Auto steer, which kept cars centered in a lane, is no longer listed as standard. This all begs the question, what's the real endgame here? CEO Elon Musk has stated the subscription price for FSD will rise over time as its capabilities improve. And pay close attention to that new name, full self-driving supervised. The addition of the word supervised is incredibly significant. This is a deliberate legal and ethical choice designed to reinforce that the driver, not Tesla, is liable at all times. This is a level 2 system which requires constant human attention. To put that in perspective, Mercedes-Benz has a certified level 3 system called DrivePilot, where under specific approved conditions, the driver can legally take their hands off the wheel and the manufacturer assumes liability. Tesla's making it crystal clear that is not the case here. This isn't just about changing a name, it's a fundamental shift in strategy. Tesla is moving away from one-time sales and betting everything on becoming a software subscription powerhouse. For a feature that only a fraction of its customers were willing to buy, this is a high-risk, high-reward pivot that will define the company's future. And speaking of Elon Musk making bold moves, he's just picked a very public fight with the CEO of one of Europe's biggest airlines. The feud started when Elon Musk called the CEO of Ryanair an utter idiot in a public post. The battleground, the sky, the weapon, in-flight Wi-Fi. Believe it or not, this isn't just a random argument. We're at a tipping point where in-flight Wi-Fi is shifting from a luxury perk to a basic utility, just like it is in a hotel or a coffee shop. And that fundamental shift is what's causing this massive clash between two very different worlds. The clash ignited when Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary flatly refused to install Musk's Starlink service on his fleet of over 600 jets. O'Leary, the man who built Europe's biggest budget airline by slashing every possible cost, says the math just doesn't work. It's not just about Starlink, you know. The sky is getting crowded with competitors. Starlink uses a huge network of low Earth orbit satellites, which means super fast speeds and low latency, but it also comes with higher costs. Rivals like Viasat use more traditional higher orbit satellites that can offer cheaper, tiered plans. So O'Leary isn't just saying no to Wi-Fi, he's saying no to Starlink's expensive top-of-the-line model. Let's start with a single statistic that might just change your entire perspective on this. O'Leary estimates the service would cost his airline between $150 and $250 million a year. He claims that based on Ryanair's experience, less than 10% of his price-conscious passengers would ever pay for it. He says the added weight of the antennas increases fuel costs, and the only way he'd consider it is if Musk gave it away for free. Now, that point about fuel costs is where this gets really technical. Adding an antenna dome to a plane adds both weight and aerodynamic drag. Musk claims the fuel penalty from Starlink's modern, low-profile terminal is tiny, maybe a 0.3% increase. O'Leary, on the other hand, estimates it could be as high as 2%. Research shows that while advanced designs have minimal drag, adding even 50 pounds of equipment can burn about 0.4 extra gallons of fuel per hour. For an airline with 600 planes flying all day, that adds up to millions of dollars. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, you have the budget-conscious model of Ryanair, while on the other, premium carriers are rushing to sign up. The CEO of Air France KLM says that to attract key customers, high-speed Wi-Fi is no longer a question, stating, "You have no choice. It's almost like a hotel." It's important to remember, when you see free Wi-Fi on those premium airlines, it's not really free. The business model is completely different. To get access, you often have to join the airline's loyalty program. In exchange for Wi-Fi, you are giving them your valuable personal data, which they then use for targeted advertising and to build a detailed customer profile. It's a transaction, and you are the product. Other major airlines like Lufthansa and Virgin Atlantic agree, adopting satellite services from Starlink and its rivals. One airline chief even called Starlink the new gold standard for in-flight connectivity. The hardware alone costs an estimated $170,000 per aircraft, an investment premium airlines are willing to make. This decision brings both benefits and comes with inherent risks. When European airlines like Lufthansa adopt a US-based system like Starlink, it raises huge geopolitical questions. Europe is essentially outsourcing a critical piece of its communication infrastructure to a foreign-controlled company. This is why the EU is racing to build its own sovereign satellite network called IRIS², but it won't be fully operational until 2030. Until then, Starlink's dominance puts Europe in a very dependent position. The conflict escalated when Musk shot back on social media, dismissing the fuel cost concerns and making a tongue-in-cheek threat to buy Ryanair and replace its CEO. This sets up a massive power struggle. On one side, a tech entrepreneur pushing his vision for a globally connected world. On the other, a budget airline titan who argues his customers care more about low fares than live streaming at 30,000 feet. It's a high-stakes standoff between two radically different business models with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.